Hi everyone, welcome to Maximum Attack Rallying. Oh, you've probably looked at the thumbnail, if you've even clicked on it and thought, oh God, he's talking about hybrid again. Well, it has happened. The FIA has finally pulled the plug, if you'll excuse the pun. Hybrid is dead. Game over, it's the end of the road. We knew it was coming. It had long been in the rumour mill over the last few weeks, so we knew this was going to happen, but it is now official. Hybrid is dead. So there's a couple of things to cover there, but what I really want to talk about in this video is whether this whole change is actually going to make any difference. But if you have not been following this story, or you're confused by this story, which is understandable because it's a long running saga, just a very quick recap. You can watch a video I made a couple of weeks ago. There's a bit more detail about this, but essentially we've had this roller coaster year with the hybrid system. In the summer, the FIA said that we were going to get rid of hybrid because it wasn't really bringing enough benefit and it was costing too much money. And then the teams came together and said that they wanted to keep it until the end of the 2026 season. And then Compact Dynamics decided to introduce an additional cost because the teams were doing manual resets on the hybrid system. Compact Dynamics said that this was no longer acceptable and that the system, each time this fault occurred, it would have to be returned. That would cost €50,000 a time at least. And the team suddenly said, no, we don't want that. Oh, just silly, isn't it? On that cost thing, I think this was very interesting. It illustrates perhaps the silliness of this whole situation. So I think it was M Sport said that this change, where if the system required a reset, it would have to go back to Compact Dynamics and be inspected, was going to cost them potentially more than €1 million a season. If each event was costing €50,000, that's a lot of times a season, isn't it? If it's over €1 million. So I think that shows how often this was happening, wasn't it? You know, how many, that means that this was effectively happening on every single event they were doing this reset. So if that was the case, if the hybrid system was showing a fault and had to be reset on every single event, I think it's perhaps safe to say that it wasn't fit for purpose. Compact Dynamics, in the only interview that I've seen, which they did with Dirtfish, said that they regret what has happened and that the hybrid contract is being terminated. But I think perhaps what they should regret is supplying a system that hasn't really done its job, hasn't supplied any marketing opportunity for the WRC, hasn't really functioned very well, has it? You know, we're still having 3 years in, and we're still having hybrid issues on a pretty regular basis. So, anyway, FIA announcement. I want to touch on that quickly. So what exactly has happened? Because there was a little surprise in there. So as we expected, the hybrid system is being deleted. That will mean that the cars will be lighter. So they're dropping from 1,260 to 1,180 kilos. The little surprise is that there is also a change in the size of the turbo restrictor coming. I don't think anyone really expected this. So it's dropping from 36 millimeters to 35 millimeters. So what I don't understand is that they're saying that with that, the engine output will drop to 380 horsepower, but I thought the engines were already around 380 horsepower. And they're saying that it will provide parity in terms of power to weight ratio from where we were and to where we're going to be. But I don't understand how a car that's 80 kilos lighter, but lost 120, 130 horsepower will have the same power to weight ratio. I've done the maths and we're still losing a lot of horsepower per tonne, something like 100. So I don't understand what they're doing there. But anyway, that isn't what I wanted to talk about really. The thing I really want to talk about in this video is any of this actually going to make any difference? And I'm really not convinced that it is. You see, what we've effectively done is we've deleted hybrid for 2 seasons. So in 2027, we have a new regulation cycle coming in. So we've got 2 seasons. So in the short term, removing the hybrid system will eliminate some cost. You know, the cars will be a bit cheaper to run, they'll be cheaper to build. You know, perhaps for a team like M Sport, this is helpful because you might get someone hiring one. They might sell a couple more Rally1s. But even with that, aren't they actually going to do that when in 2027 we've got this new regulation cycle coming? You know, I think perhaps we might see the odd privateer coming out to do the occasional event, but you know, generally I don't think it's going to make a huge amount of difference to the number of cars we see over the next 2 seasons. We're not going to see any new manufacturing. You know, no manufacturer is going to commit to building a car to the Rally1 regulations for 2 seasons. That is just not going to happen. So short term, we're going to see a bit of a drop in cost. We might see a couple of rented cars here and there, but otherwise, you know, we're not talking about a major difference. The thing that we're still leading to here is 2027, isn't it? This is still effectively a holding pattern, and we just have to wait and see what the regulations look like. And crucially, we still don't know what those regulations look like. As I understand it, the plan for 2027 is to have something Rally1-ish. I thought there was one interesting thing that came out when this hybrid announcement was made. I'm going to read a quote to you. The FIA Chief Technical and Safety Officer, Javier Mestelan-Pino, said, "We can now move forward in full confidence that the WRC becomes even better and stronger with developments that are in line with the working perspective for the 2027 technical regulations." Whew, there's something in that for me. I thought it was interesting, and perhaps this is just my interpretation. But that kind of suggests that they're not even certain that hybrid will form part of the regulations in 2027. You know, it does suggest, of course, that we're going to stick with this Rally1 concept, or Rally1 based space frame concept. But the whole idea of there being a hybrid system is still very much up in the air. I think that for me would be a shame. I know a lot of you, the comments I've had on a couple of previous videos about this topic, a lot of you are very pleased to see the end of hybrid. For me, I'm not against hybrid in principle, and my view is very much that come 2027, we should be giving the teams the freedom to innovate. You know, if they want to use hybrid, let them use hybrid. If they want to, if someone's brave enough to try and build a fully electric car, you know, let them. If they want to go pure internal combustion, let them. Let the teams engineer a solution to the regulations, because that is when we tend to see the most exciting and interesting cars. So there's that. However, I think the critical thing here is also the fact that the plan is to stick with Rally1. If you have watched any of my videos, you will know what I think of Rally1. I think the whole thing is ludicrous. You know, I think this. I want to come back to 2022 when this whole regulation cycle began. You know, we brought in hybrid. The introduction of hybrid was farcical. You know, the system was delayed. It was problematic from the start. We were getting hybrid issues immediately. It was not good. But I think, you know, we also have to recognise here that Rally1, and I've said this numerous times, Rally1 as a concept has failed. You know, the fact that we have seen no new manufacturer teams enter the WRC during this regulation cycle is not just a result of hybrid, is it? The whole thing clearly isn't working for people. No one's going to join it now, as I said. No one's going to join before 2027 because they don't have the time to develop a car. But is anyone going to join in 2027? I'm not really convinced that they are, because I don't see what unique value the WRC offers. You know, we've gone down the path of these kind of space frame buggy things. Well, if you want to do space frame buggies and do events in the middle of nowhere, well, you just go and do the World Rallycross World Rally Raid Championship, don't you? Go and do Dakar, which is a massive event, which is all about buggies in the wilderness. So I think by going down the Rally1 path, we've taken the WRC away from its kind of origin. So I don't really understand that. And you know, what value does it offer to manufacturers? Even putting aside the technical regulations, are we answering the other questions? Are we answering the questions around promotion, around media coverage, about how we offer value for manufacturers as an entire package? And I don't think that we are. You know, I think getting rid of hybrid has demonstrated, in the way that we've done it, getting rid of hybrid has demonstrated that the WRC is effectively in chaos, because we've gone from, yes, we're keeping it, no, we're not keeping it, yes, we're going to keep it, and no, we're not keeping it. So we've made ourselves look ridiculous, frankly. You know, the WRC has made itself look really unprofessional and really in a place where there's no clear strategy, leadership and direction. The technical regulations clearly still aren't appealing to manufacturers, and I'm really not sure that getting rid of hybrid in the short term is going to make any difference to that. So, to summarise, will this actually make any difference? I'm not so sure that it will. Like I said, we might see the odd Rally1 car being hired for a couple of events over the next 2 seasons. Other than that, do I see manufacturers lining up to join the championship in 2027? Right now, no, because I still believe the Rally1 regulations are flawed. I still think Rally 2 is a better model, even if we have to tweak it to allow kind of crossovers and small SUVs. And we're still not answering the big questions about promotion and delivering value for manufacturers in terms of exposure. So it's really, really problematic. So I think, you know, there are still really big decisions to be made, and I think we need to see some real leadership from the FIA, from the promoter, who we don't, by the way, even know if they're still going to be there, because there was rumours that the promoter were thinking of selling the rights to the championship. So there are many, many unanswered questions. So just to bring us round, we have the answer to one question. As I said, hybrid is definitely gone, but for me, there are many, many, many questions still to answer. Let's leave this one there, though. I'm sure there will be more to talk about in the weeks and months ahead. As always, I am very, very grateful for your support. I love reading your comments and getting involved in the discussion, so do let me know what you think. Will this make any difference? Were you surprised by the change in restrictor? Do you expect to see any more manufacturers in 2027? What direction even do you think the rules should go in 27? Do let me know in the comments below. As always, like, comment, as I said, and subscribe, and I will see you next time.